What's up, everybody? This is your girl Lena. Thank you so much for making your way to my channel, How Bizarre, where we get a chance to talk about all things that we find bizarre. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the show Sister Wives. We're going to start off with episode 1 of season 1, and we're breaking this down into the 10 cringiest moments of this episode. So without further ado, let's get started. So coming in at number 10, we have the unforgettable I'm a repeat offender. How bizarre. What a weird thing to say. Let's check it out.
I like marriage, and I'm a repeat offender, so. And I'm a repeat offender.
I picked this moment as the 10th cringiest moment of this episode. The usage of the words I'm a repeat offender is just very odd to me. It seems that somebody that went out of their way to plaster their family on a TV show, to demonstrate to everybody that polygamy is a good thing, something that's beneficial to the family, particularly to the children, and then proceeds to file a lawsuit against the state of Utah, pickets at the state capitol with his family, just somebody that's fighting for the rights of polygamists, somebody who's engaging in activity to try to get the legalization of polygamy. The fact that he would use these terms, or this term, I'm a repeat offender, to describe himself in the beginning of the show is just very, very cringe to me. I really do not understand the logic. I find it counterproductive to his cause. But once again, those of us that are familiar with the show know that this is nothing compared to the stuff that comes out of this man's mouth. Describing yourself as a repeat offender, it's just not a good thing. I mean, we usually use that term to describe criminals, people that are doing things against the law, people that are committing crimes, doing immoral things. We use this term to describe people that are doing overall bad things, but not just that, not just a person that's doing a bad thing, somebody that consistently and repeatedly does a bad thing. And obviously in this case, Cody's referring to himself as somebody that's marrying multiple times, because in the show, obviously, we can see that he already has 3 wives, and in this first episode, he's in pursuit of that 4th wife. So, but once again, the term repeat offender, just cringe, blah, bizarre. It's just not a good thing. And for that reason, this is the 10th cringiest thing of this episode. So let's move on. Coming in 9th place of the cringiest thing in this episode is the fact that Cody's not wearing a wedding ring for the majority of the scenes. So throughout the episode, you could see that Cody is clearly not wearing his wedding ring. It's a couple of different scenes where he's wearing different clothing in different situations. So I'm assuming these scenes are across different days. I'm not entirely sure. There's even a scene where he's seen on the couch with his wives. But nonetheless, it seems that Cody is okay with not wearing his wedding ring. What's interesting about that is that in the same scenes, or throughout this episode, you can see that his wives are actually wearing their wedding rings. This is also interesting because Cody himself declares that he's a repeat offender in terms of having 3 marriages. And it's just odd to me that a man that has 3 wives is not wearing at least 1 ring. Obviously, we wouldn't expect him to wear 3 rings. That would be actually really funny. But the guy should be wearing at least 1 ring. And so it's interesting to me that he seems to go to work and he's going to the doctor's office. He's doing these interviews. He's living his life without a wedding ring. And this is interesting because in the future, there's going to be some back and forth about Cody's wedding ring. And at one point, Robin even states that when she met Cody, he was not wearing a ring. And based on this scene, or this episode, this seems to be a true notion. However, something does happen at the end of the episode, which is that Cody is wearing the wedding ring, or his wedding ring, And you can see that he's wearing his Claddagh ring when he goes on that date at the end of the episode with Robin. What's interesting about this ring stuff is that it's going to come into play in the future. We later find out that Cody destroyed or repurposed the original ring that Mary gave him when they first got married. And so it appears that rings are a big deal to this family. And so it's just interesting that Cody's not wearing a ring. It's weird. It's blah. It's bizarre. I don't know. You guys tell me your thoughts. I might be overthinking this one, but I picked this as the ninth cringiest thing of this episode. The eighth cringiest thing in this episode is regarding Cody's dad, William Wynn Brown.
I grew up on a ranch in northern Wyoming. We're as cold as you can imagine. I wasn't raised in polygamy. I didn't grow up in it. When I was about 20, my dad converted to a faith that embraced polygamy. So when I was 21, I started going to this church. I meet Mary. She was the bait.
Seems that the internet has let us know that it's no secret that Cody has some pretty deep daddy issues. However, I can't help but wonder what 20-year-old, now think about this, at 20 years old, you're pretty much an adult. According to Cody, he had already done his mission, so he had already traveled, probably domestically, if not possibly abroad. I think it was domestically. Nonetheless, he was a grown-ass man. He was an adult. So he's 20 years old, and his dad converts to polygamy, and he decides to just blindly follow him into this. I just really don't buy it. I think that's very strange. How many young adults do you know that if their parents were to make a drastic change, like a very sudden drastic change, that young adult would suddenly follow them? I just don't think that's very common. Also, from my understanding, it seemed that Cody did not have a very good or a very healthy relationship with his father. And from what I understand, his father, I think, had the reputation of being a very difficult person. So it just doesn't make any sense to me why Cody would just follow him into polygamy, which is definitely seems to be like the more difficult or challenging life. At this point, at 20 years old, he's a man, a full-grown man. He could be independent, and he could have chosen a completely different route for his life. I guess we'll never really know, but it seems that Cody had a very strong desire to please his dad, and I'm concluding that wanting to please his dad might have been another reason as to why Cody decided to engage in a polygamous lifestyle. And for that reason, I find this cringe. I think it's bizarre, yuck, and that's why I picked this as the 8th cringiest moment of this episode. Okay, let's continue with lucky number 7 on our list, which is undoubtedly breakfast time in the Brown household. And let's start by looking at how each household handles breakfast. We'll begin with Mary's.
You want breakfast? Yeah. Want to see how I do breakfast for her? Look, I bought you granola bars. It's really about all she does for breakfast, if we're lucky.
And now let's continue with how Janelle's house handles breakfast.
Every day I wake up about a half hour earlier than everyone else, make breakfast. I usually don't cook for all 12 children. Mostly I just cook for my part of the family. All right, come on, you gotta eat. You got everything, Gabe? Oh, yes. She's so spoiled.
And finally, let's take a look at how breakfast is handled in Christine's household. So the scene starts off with what appears to be Christine ironing a shirt. Then we proceed with Christine preparing breakfast, and then we could also see her getting all her kids up and trying to get them out the door.
Mom, your toast is burnt again!
What? Darn it! Stupid! Darn it!
Ready, pizza.
Gosh, Peyton, why did you take it out?
Because it was burnt.
It's great. Darn it. She remind me, I cannot leave the kitchen. Open the windows. What? I just burned the toast, okay?
This is so Christine.
It's very interesting to see the huge disparities between how the three different wives handle breakfast in the morning. Mary by far has it the easiest, and then Logan is hauling ass, trying to get everybody, trying to get all his siblings ready. He's trying to get them fed. He gets them up, he gets them fed, and he gets them out the door. He wakes up early to do this, right? So he's that kid that takes that extra responsibility. And then we go to Christine's household. Keep in mind that Christine is pregnant with Truly, and she's running around trying to get her kids up. She's trying to make breakfast. She's got this whole, I'm not using a toaster because toasters kill more people than sharks do in a year. So she's anti toasters, so she decides to prepare toast in the oven, which ends up burning, and that's where we get that hectic scene of Christine scrambling to try to manage everything. But what's really interesting is that Christine was also ironing a shirt that morning, and guess who got the benefit of that? Guess who was able to wear a nice, clean, crisp shirt that morning? And he's just standing around while his wife, that's 8.5 months pregnant, is running around the house. She's handling everything, and he's just standing there saying, "This is so typical of her," while he's buttoning up his clean shirt. And this entire scene, I just found it completely cringe. I thought it was very bizarre, because where's Mary? Why can't Mary help Christine in her household? Why can't Mary help the other women? Mary only has one child, and in the scene we could see that Mariah only has granola bars in the morning. So Mary doesn't have to, make eggs or hash browns or do anything like that. She doesn't even have to get her kitchen dirty. But here we have the other two households scrambling to get ready in the mornings, and Cody and Mary are nowhere to be found. And so this just seems like a huge contradiction in terms of the benefits of polygamy. There doesn't seem to be very much collaboration, and pretty early on we can see that Christine is definitely the work mule. She's definitely overworked and probably underappreciated. So breakfast time in the Brown household is the 7th cringiest moment in this episode. But let's go ahead and continue to the 6th cringiest moment in this episode, which happens to be just the overall lies in the origin story.
I grew up in the mainstream Mormon church, and they don't practice polygamy. I had no idea there was even such a thing as polygamists. I live here in an area where there's a lot. I had no idea, none. I met Mary's family when I was 19. I actually met Cody a few years after that. So they were like my little novel polygamous friends for a long time.
It's really amazing to see just how much lying takes place in this episode. And what's most interesting to me is that all of these people can look straight into the camera and lie to all of us. Well, first of all, they're lying to themselves, but also they're lying to every single person that watches this show. And here we have Janelle telling us that she had no idea polygamy even existed, and that she had these little polygamous friends. That she had polygamous friends in Mary's family, but what she fails to mention is that she was actually married to Mary's brother. This later comes out when the fan base does a little bit of research, and it's shown that, the Brown family has some pretty dark secrets. But Janelle was previously married to Mary's brother, which kind of explains the rough relationship that they seem to have. In addition, we later find out as well that Janelle's mother was actually married to Cody's dad. I don't know what came first, whether Janelle married Cody first, or Janelle's mother married Wynn first, or maybe they each married their respective husbands at the same time. I don't know the research behind that, but what I do know is that in this scene, Janelle is clearly lying to us. The giggling, the laughing, looking up sometimes when she's trying to put together her story, I can't even believe how much lying takes place here. And I know that Cody is often the villain in this, But I'd like to say that even though I find this show very, very entertaining, I believe every single adult involved in this show is actually not a good person. I find them all to be very dishonest and pretty selfish individuals. Good old honest Abe says you can fool all of the people some of the time and some of the people all of the time, but you cannot fool all of the people all of the time, and this is something that I believe the Brown family definitely learned. Overall, just very, very bizarre, but this is number 6 on our list. So, number 5, halfway through our list, and what we have for number 5 is when Christine lets us know that Cody kind of loved her when they got married.
Cody and Mary and I were actually friends for years before we got married. I really loved him tons, and he kind of loved me, and we went back and forth. But it took years for us to get together and really realize we really did want to be married.
Did Christine really just say that? Well, let's hear it one more time. Let's hear it real slow this time to make sure we catch it all.
I really loved him tons, and he kind of loved me, and we went back and forth.
Y'all, I don't even know how to respond to this one. Number 5 is so cringy and so bizarre. It's just so self-explanatory because no self-respecting woman should ever feel like the guy that she's about to marry kind of loves her, even though she's pretty much telling us that she was crazy about Cody. So off the bat, in the very first episode, we could see that this relationship, this marriage, was never really a strong relationship to begin with. It just sort of sounds as though they both sort of settled. Cody was never really that much in love with Christine, and Christine decided to accept that because she's letting us know that he didn't love her as much as she loved him. And I believe that that didn't really change at all. That's why they always say that if somebody shows you who they are, you should believe them. And here's another example of where I tell you that even though Cody is often the villain, the women were also enablers and they contributed to this mess. Because no woman should settle. Nobody wants to be married to a man that sort of likes them, sort of loves them, or just is not crazy about them. Everybody deserves a love where you could feel that somebody loves you and accepts you for who you are. And clearly we could see that that was not the case with Christine. Overall, very cringe and very bizarre, which is why it made it number 5 on our list. Moving right along, number 4 on our list is when Mary tells us that they actually do not go weird when it comes to their sexual relationship. Let's check this out.
We do have sex, it's true.
Let's clarify who the we is in this.
Individually, though, there's 3 separate marriages, 3 separate sexual relationships as well.
And they never crossed the boundary.
Christine and Janelle and I each have our own bedrooms, and Cody is welcome in each of those bedrooms alone. That's it's just how it is. We don't go weird.
The paradox when 3 women who are sharing one husband proclaim that they do not go weird is completely delusional. Because if for any moment Mary and the other ladies believe that women are okay with sharing their husband and allowing their husband to have sexual relationships with other women, if they believe that other women would be okay with this, they are delusional because that's absolutely not true. The fact that they're in a polygamous relationship, the fact that they are sister wives, the fact that they have a show, the fact that they're even talking to us about their sexual relationship right now, all of it is weird. And the assertion that Mary's making that they do not go weird is completely delusional, self-explanatory, totally cringe, blah, very bizarre. That's all I have to say about that one. So rounding out the top 3, we come to the third cringiest moment of this episode, which is when Cody proclaims that he married all of the ladies for love.
20 years ago, I married Mary. And then 17 years ago, I married Janelle. And then 16 years ago, I married Christine. I just fell in love, and then I fell in love again, and then I fell in love again.
We all heard Cody say that love should be multiplied, not divided. And here he goes again saying that he just fell in love, and then he fell in love, and he fell in love again. So this is just a man that just falls in love, not once, not twice, but 3 times. The reason why this is cringe is because in the future we see that he goes on to proclaim and state that he actually never loved any of them.
Mary and I get married, and I get married again to Janelle, and I get married again to Christine. And I look back, and because I was so anxious to be living the principle of plural marriage, that I was not vetting who I was marrying to be compatible with me. The blame lays on one thing and one thing only. If you're going to marry and you're going to marry for eternity, you should start out in love.
So I know this clip is not from the current episode, it's actually from a future episode, but it just goes to show that there's just so many lies taking place and so much dishonesty. We don't really know as the viewers what's the truth. Did he love them? Did he not love them? Was this all just one big charade? Was he just playing with these ladies' emotions? But what's most troublesome to me is this man can proclaim to not love his 3 wives, yet proceeded to procreate with all of them. And that to me is the biggest cringe and the yuckiest thing here. The way this man can just go around blabbing, saying that he never loved the 3 mothers of his 13 children is, in my opinion, a form of verbal abuse, gaslighting, just overall not a nice thing, very awful thing to say to your former spouse and the current mother of your children, because like it or not, these individuals, these adults are always going to be the parents to these children that they brought into the world together.
I believe in marrying for love, so I hope they do that.
Cringe, 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 and just very, very bizarre for number 3. But let's go on to number 2. Number 2 is when Cody decided to share with the little kids his big announcement.
Do you guys like Robin?
Yeah.
Well, Robin likes us. I'm kind of nervous about this, so I'm going to try and chill out. All right, listen. Robin has a family, and what we want to do is I wanted to ask you guys what you thought about having our family grow by not just 1 with the new baby, but by 4 more than that.
So first of all, I want to know, is this just another charade, another acting bid, or is this a genuine question? So in this scene, Cody's asking his kids, what do you guys think? I want to ask you guys about Robin. What do you guys think about growing this family, so on and so forth? But what's difficult about this, or watching this, is I'm not sure whether this question was even sincere. Because what would have happened if the kids were to say, no, I don't want that, or I'm not comfortable with that, or if all the wives got together and said, well, we don't want that. It just seems like this was all just an act, and just an opportunity for Cody to act like a giddy teenager, as we'll see in the next clip.
We'll go from 16. I'm I'm not. To 21. Wow.
We were beginning to feel like there was somebody else. I was starting to feel like I would comment to Christine, gosh, we sure need another one. It's getting kind of boring, you know.
So Cody's laughter and handling this matter just really shows his immaturity, but also his self-centeredness. When Maddie asks him if he's already engaged, he laughs as though, once again, it's like he's a teenager being asked at the dinner table whether he has a girlfriend for prom or a date for prom. But what's more appalling about this scene is what Janelle says, that things are getting boring and they sure do need another one. I'm not sure how well that is aged, but that's definitely a statement that made me spit out my water as I was watching this for the first time. And it's another example of why I say that these ladies were not innocent bystanders in their polygamy lifestyle and the mess that they ended up making, as we'll see in the future in later seasons.
But does anybody concerned about this, or is this cool? Aspen, how do you feel about this situation?
I think it's okay. I think it's fine. I think it'll be kind of weird at first, but I think it'll be like, okay.
So, McKelty, I mean, did you like Robin and her family?
Yeah.
Okay. Mariah, what do you think?
Not weird, but I liked her. And I like her kids a lot.
In this final clip, we can actually see that the teenagers were not very excited or enthusiastic with the big announcement. You could see a lot of excitement from the little kids because this whole thing was presented to them as adding more kids to the family that they could play with. But I believe that the teenagers, because they were more mature and they're more developed, they have a little bit of a better understanding about what exactly that means for the family. And you can tell from both from Aspen and Mariah's response that they understand there's going to be a shift and a difference in the dynamic in the family. But I don't think it really mattered because I don't think Cody was asking for anybody's opinion. At least I don't think it was a genuine question. Cody had decided what he was going to do, and he was just announcing and not necessarily truly asking. All of this is what makes this scene as the second most cringiest scene in this episode. Just overall very bizarre. And now for the moment we've all been waiting for. The number one cringiest thing about this episode was this whole notion of Cody courting a girl. Let's check this out.
Robin and I have been courting for a couple of months.
See you, kids!
It's been challenging because she's about 4 hours away. Biggest challenge of the distance is actually the fact that my wives don't like me being away.
So the teenagers are not very enthusiastic about it. Christine is pretty much against it, and none of your wives want you to be away, but you're going to go ahead and do this. You're going to drive 4 hours away to go see and spend the night with the girl that you've been courting. Now, to clarify, I use the word girl because there's numerous times in this episode where Robin is referred to as a girl, and that's interesting to me because Robin is actually a grown-ass woman. She's divorced. There's nothing innocent about her. She comes with 3 children. So Robin is, by all definitions, very much not a girl, but a full-grown woman. It's just interesting to me that she's presented as a girl.
Because wives are comfortable with another wife in this lifestyle, they're not comfortable with a girlfriend.
Like this way?
Oh, kitty here. My cup ran over.
I don't want to be a boat rocker. I don't like my boat rocked. And so, no, I little hesitant to accept another wife. But if it happens, she just has to be absolutely amazing.
Well, there you have it, everyone. She's going to have to be absolutely amazing. And that ends our list of the 10 cringiest moments from Season 1, Episode 1 of Sister Wives. Let me know what you think. What did you think about my list? Is there something that I missed? Is there something that you would have added? Is there something that you thought wasn't that bad? Comment your thoughts, and thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you like this content, I will be putting out more very similar to it. And I'll let Janelle close us out.
Gosh, we sure need another one. It's getting kind of boring,
Yeah, Mary